So why did Terence Crawford lose Fighter of the Year? The reason Terence Crawford lost Fighter of the Year is because of Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford got to take full responsibility and accountability for the fact that he was the sole reason why he lost Fighter of the Year. And here's why I say that. Many people underestimate the power of the media. With Terence Crawford being signed under the umbrella, being with Bob Arum's top-ranked promotional company, Bob Arum has really close ties with the media. You know, it was this article that I read with the headline that read, Bob Arum, the boss of all bosses. Then there was another one that said, it said Bob Arum, the greatest promoter of all time. So when you have really close relationships with the media has the power to make the guilty look innocent and the innocent look guilty. When you have writers like Dan Raphael and you have these great journalists, great sports writers, when they're writing all these great things about you, when they're writing all these sensational things about you, if you could get the media to write great things about you, because like I said, with the power of the media, it dictates public opinion. So when the media is saying great things about you, then the people will believe those great things about you and buy into those great things. It helps with appearance. It helps with how you're viewed amongst the people, the perception. Being in the ring is half the battle, especially when you're already talented. If you're already gifted, you're already talented, that's half the battle. It's being able to sell yourself to the masses. But we're in a different day and age where a lot of people aren't reading newspapers no more. They aren't reading articles that's being published online. People love visual content, which is why YouTube has become so prominent as it is now. That's why it's everybody's go-to source for information in today's time. But with Terence Crawford being aligned with Bob Arum, it allowed him access to resources, information, relationships, connections, or it helped you achieve all these accolades, these awards, BET's Fighter of the Year, ESPN, ESPY's Fighter of the Year, Ring Magazine, Sports Illustrated. When Terence Crawford was with Bob Arum, he was worldly recognized as #1 pound for pound, and he still is, but he still has that, I would say, somewhat of the after effects of what was there when he left Bob Arum. With Bob Arum, he had protection. If there was any rumors or if there was any suspicion pertaining to Terence Crawford affiliation with Victor Conte, it would have been swept right up under the rug. The story probably would have never even reached the public, which is probably why we didn't hear much about Terence Crawford affiliation with Victor Conte, the snack program, and Victor Conte's history, being a drug cheat, giving athletes steroids. It would have been glossed over, which is why we probably didn't hear about it when Terence Crawford was with Bob Arum. We didn't hear about it for the Sean Porter fight. Even now, after the Errol Spence and Terence Crawford fight, the media would have literally spent the narrative so much as far as him being with Victor Conte. Had Terence Crawford still been signed with Top Rank, you would have seen newspaper articles or you would have seen online articles, ESPN reporters and anchors doing videos, specials on Victor Conte with headlines that say Victor Conte is a changed man. Balco was years ago. You'll see probably clips and videos of him in the ranch with his daughter, having a good time with his family, just how his life has changed since Balco. And he'd be painted in such a positive light that it would kind of silence the noise in terms of how criticism that would come their way. Because in the public perception, they say, nah, Victor Conte, they really believe that Victor Conte is a changed man. They really think that he really changed his life, which, we don't know if he did or not. But the fact that he was associated with it, nobody would care. But now Terence Crawford is left with the fans to defend him. This story wouldn't have been as big had Terence Crawford never left Top Rank. It reminded me of a video that the rapper Nori did years ago and he did an interview with Vlad TV. Vlad asked Nori about the Illuminati. When Nori spoke on it, Nori was like, man, he said, I can't really, and I'm just paraphrasing because I don't know the exact, quote or whatnot. But basically he was like, it was like a crossroad. You got two options. And it's like, all right, you can either go through door A or through door B. If you go through this door, you're going to be granted access to all the riches, the fortune, the fame. We're going to give you whatever you want, and we're going to protect you. In terms of being with top rank, you're going to be painted in a positive way. They're going to have nothing but great things to say about you. The media is not going to ridicule you. You're not going to get no backlash. All your dirt, everything that you do is going to get swept up under the rug. But if you leave, you see what's going to happen to you. You're going to get stripped of your belt. They might strip more belts. You might lose out on opportunities. You're not going to win Fighter of the Year. The media is not going to protect you. They're going to ask you questions about Snack, which didn't get asked when you was with Top Rank. So the media questions aren't going to be as harsh. They're going to ask you these hardball questions. They're going to keep it real soft. So staying at Top Rank, those are the benefits. So you may not make the type of money that you're making with PBC. You'll get your upfront money. We'll give you the guaranteed money. But as far as like the back end, you're not going to get all of that being that top rank. So you got to pretty much pick your poison. Those are your two options. You can either stay here or you can leave. So Terence Crawford decided to leave, which I don't blame him for leaving, right? I give Terence Crawford a ton of credit for even decide to go across the street, so to speak. So now that Terence Crawford is across the street, now he's forfeited the luxury of still having those benefits that Bob Arum and Top Rank offered him. Now he's pretty much fending for himself. So you get the money and you'll get the money on the back end. But still, now you got to deal with this cloud of suspicion over your head. Now you have to deal with people saying these negative things about you. I did a short film of these two writers, these newspaper writers who once covered the Balco scandal. They were explaining how the fans would criticize them and how the fans would attack them for alluding to the fact that a lot of their favorite athletes were on steroids, working with Victor Conte. It's a lot of the same similarities that you see now. The same way they attack manager Marty, when how manager Marty point things out. So the fans didn't want to believe it back then. The baseball players, the athletes back then, they generated a lot of money for the league. So they wanted to keep it on a hush-hush. They didn't want it to be talked about. They didn't want the newspaper articles and the reporters to cover it. But it's the same similarities that you see now. But a lot of the reporters from back then, some of them are still around. And some of them know about Victor Conte's history, even with these publications. People who are in control of Ring Magazine, people who put out the Fighter of the Year, who control these rankings. So when people already know about Victor Conte history, it automatically puts a target on your back if you're Terence Crawford, because now these people are aware of who you're associating yourself with. Now they're going to question how you win. Did you cheat? They're going to side-eye a lot of things that you do. So you're opening yourself up for criticism by you being associated with Victor Conte. Because before even Earl Spence went to Twitter and stated that he felt that Terence Crawford should have won Fighter of the Year, you guys heard me already say that on the channel, that I felt like Terence Crawford had the best case for Fighter of the Year. Defeating Earl Spence was also viewed as top 5 pound for pound. So how could you deny that? I wouldn't be surprised if they replaced Terence Crawford as number 1 pound for pound in the next coming weeks, and they put Inoue as number 1, and they push Crawford down to number 2 or number 3. But Terence Crawford brought this on himself.